Hi everybody and welcome to English for You. I'm Pat.
And I'm Adam.
And today we're reading through the first part of our literature article. Now we've obviously just had Halloween, scary season, people dressing up and so on. And we got a bit of a scary story to read for you now by one of the most famous horror scary story writers, Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh, really? I think I've seen some of the movies that have been made into movies because of his books.
Yeah.
And they are quite frightening. So.
Yeah, some very creepy stuff going on. I've been in one show that did an Edgar Allan Poe story called The Mask of the Red Death.
Oh.
The idea is everybody in the country has got a plague, and so the leader, the prince of the country, gets everybody, all the rich people, to come to his house, and they have a party just to celebrate until the plague is over. But then an extra guest turns up, and everybody starts to die, and then you realize that it's death. The extra guest is death, and everybody dies, and it gets pretty creepy. There are weird rooms with colors and stuff. But this one is called The Black Cat. So maybe you're familiar with it. If not, look forward to reading on as we tell you the story of this horror short story.
Reading The Black Cat. Before reading further, understand that the account detailed in this letter is a horrifying one. You may be alarmed to discover what I have become and what I have done. Tomorrow, it will be time for me to die. However, while I live today, I wish to relieve my soul of this extreme burden. When I was young, everyone knew me as a kind human being, full of love for all things, especially animals. My parents let me keep many pets, and nothing was more desirable to me than spending time with them, feeding them, and petting them. You might think that as I grew older, I would have changed to become less obsessed with them, but the opposite happened. I actually grew fonder of animals. I married while I was young, and my wife shared my love of animals. Together, we took every opportunity to acquire new pets. We had birds, goldfish, a dog, rabbits, a small monkey, and a cat.
So this story is told in what's called first person, which means it's a guy and he's saying, like, I did this happened to me. So it's a different style of telling the story. And it's written like it's a letter. Somebody is writing something down. And we start with this. Before reading further, understand that the account detailed in this letter is a horrifying one. So it's a pretty disturbing kind of start. It's saying what you're about to read is not going to be nice. It's going to be unpleasant. It's giving you a warning, so if you don't want to continue, you can put the book down. If you guys don't want to hear a horrible story, stop watching. But this is an account. An account is a story or someone's version of a story. It's just a set of facts that's told as one kind of single. This happened, I went here, I did this, I saw this. It's the full story that somebody has seen and experienced, and they're now telling it to somebody else. For example, you might say, the witness gave her account of the car accident she had seen. So if she's talking to the police, she would say, I was walking along the street and this is what I saw. That's her account. Maybe other witnesses have other accounts. The driver has the driver's account of what happened. And it's the policeman's job to listen to all these accounts, read them, figure out what really happened.
Oh, okay. So be on the lookout if there's any crimes you can account back to the police. Detail. Detail is used as a verb in the article. When you detail something, you give a lot of information or descriptions about that thing. An example sentence would be, she detailed her vacation by writing in her diary and taking pictures along the way. Here we also have detail plus ed, so detailed. can also be used as an adjective, a detailed plan, description, instruction. We can use that as an example sentence such as, the woman gave a detailed description of the car that left the bank robbery.
And what we know is this account, this story the man is going to tell, will be horrifying. Horrifying is an adjective that means it's really scary. It will make you feel horror. You're going to read it and you're going to think, oh, that's awful. Oh, that's really bad. It'll kind of stay with you and you'll feel a bit uncomfortable about it. But what happens? Let's read on.
The article says, you may be alarmed to discover what I have become and what I have done.
Oh, okay. So the man is not just saying that this is a scary story, but he's the bad guy.
Yes.
All right.
He's the villain of our story, maybe.
Okay, we read on and the letter, this account says, tomorrow it will be time for me to die. Okay, now if we make a little connection here, we go, he's done something bad and now he's going to die. Maybe he's going to be executed, killed for the crime that he did. And that only happens if it's a super big bad crime.
That's correct.
All right, so what's going on then?
So next, our article says, however, while I live today, I wish to relieve my soul of this extreme burden. Oh, it's getting scary. Relieve somebody of something means to help someone by taking away something that is stressful, heavy, or hard. We can relieve someone of their duties, work, and stress. A good sentence for this would be, the new supervisor relieved us of the work by giving us a day off.
Wow, that would be great. So the man just has got all this stuff inside him. He kind of wants to get it out to make him feel more peaceful before he dies. And he wants to remove or relieve himself of this burden. Now, a burden could mean something heavy that you're carrying, a big suitcase. A donkey might carry a big burden in the old days as it was walking from one place to another. But here we're using it to mean an emotional burden, something that worries you, something that's kind of pushing down on you, like a secret you know that's making you uncomfortable, or a truth you know that you know you've got to do this thing tomorrow and you can't sleep because of it. That's a burden. So we could say, for example, the burden of lying to his parents bothered James, so he finally told them what he'd done.
Oh, James. Okay, well, moving on, our article goes back and then also says, when I was young, everyone knew me as a kind human being, full of love for all things, especially animals.
Okay, so it's at the start of the story. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, he seems like a good guy, loves animals. And what we know is we know somebody as something. And that means to know what the person is like. In the article, the speaker says, everyone knew me as a kind human being, which means they all knew that he was a kind person. We can also say something like this. We know Pat as a professional and polite teacher.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, so it's what everybody knows. If you asked his neighbors, his friends, his co-workers, they'd all say, him, oh, he's a lovely guy. He's great. He's kind to people. He looks after his parents. He loves animals. That's one of the big things here. And animals leads us on to the next part of the story. It says, my parents let me keep many pets, and nothing was more desirable to me than spending time with them, feeding them, and petting them. Okay, a few things to look at in this sentence, but first we're going to look at the structure we use in the sentence in today's Language in Focus. So what we've done with this sentence is used a negative word to make a comparative form of something into its superlative form. So we can use negative words like no or never or nothing along with a comparative form of an adjective. And we do this to add emphasis to the superlative. So in that sentence, the man could have said, The most desirable thing to me was spending time with my animals. The most desirable, there's your superlative. But if we change it and say, nothing was more desirable to me than spending time with my animals, even though more desirable is a comparative, not the superlative, it's still a stronger sentence. He's saying there's nothing else at all in the world that was better. So you might just say, this was the most interesting movie I've ever seen. It's a superlative, it does describe it. But to make it stronger, you might say, never have I seen a more interesting movie. It's just the comparative form of the adjective, but the sentence seems stronger with this negative word in front of it. So the man said nothing was more desirable to him than spending time with his animals.
And that is a word we're going to learn about next. We have and desirable. An adjective is our next vocabulary word. A desirable thing is something you would want to have or would like to have. A lot of things can be desirable. You might want a new iPhone, a designer bag, or even new shoes.
Yep.
They are desirable to you. An example sentence we could use is, my neighbor has such a desirable car. When I grow up, I would love to have one.
Yeah, so we can talk about a thing, and in this case, what's desirable to him is an activity.
That's correct.
Spending time with his cats. He says, this is what I really want to do. I love animals, I love my pets, I just want to be with them. That's the most interesting, desirable thing for me. So the letter continues, and we read, you might think that as I grew older, I would have changed to become less obsessed with them. But the opposite happened. So the man describes himself as being obsessed with animals when he was a child. This word obsessed is often followed by the preposition with, to be obsessed with something. If you're obsessed with something, you spend all your time or a lot of your time thinking about this thing, doing things related to this particular subject. It's always on your mind, it's always right at the front of your thoughts. If you're obsessed with video games, you'll want to be playing them all the time. Here he's saying he's obsessed with cats or pets, and when he was a kid, and you might have thought, oh, when he grows up, he'll go to work, he'll stop caring so much about animals, but he says the opposite happened.
The word we have is opposite, which is a noun here. It states the opposite in the article. When we say the opposite, it's something or someone that is completely different from the other. For example, my sister doesn't like to clean, but I am the opposite, which means I like to clean all the time.
So the article says people might think he would stop being obsessed with the animals, but he's the opposite, and this is explained in the next sentence. He says, I actually grew fonder of animals. Let's take a moment to look at that adjective, fond. When we use this adjective fond, we almost always find it in the sentence to be, or pattern, to be fond of something. I am fond of this thing. I'm not really that fond of something. If you are fond of something, you have a strong liking for it. It's warm feelings of love and affection for that thing. It's kind of a personal favorite of yours. You love this thing quite a bit. You might say, I'm quite fond of this park, even though it's small, because it's always quiet and there are lots of places to sit. Sure, there are bigger parks, more beautiful parks, but maybe this one is kind of your favorite because it's so quiet and peaceful, and therefore you are fond of it.
It is nice that Taipei has a lot of parks around.
Yeah, there's obviously the big ones, your Da'an Park and so on, but there are so many small neighborhood parks where there are trees and benches and other things, a little green spot of grass. It does make Taipei quite a green city.
It does. And back to our article, it says, I married while I was young, and my wife shared my love of animals.
Okay, now I guess you think this was written a few hundred years ago. So when they say I married young, it could mean they were maybe like 18, 19, that kind of age. Because people marrying young back in those days would have been that. I married when I was 31. I should know that more, right? I should know that number more accurate. I was 31. I was 31, maybe 32. I'd have to do some mental counting. How about you?
I was 36.
Okay, so a little bit older. Okay. So we see they married and his wife shared my love of animals. They both love pets. Maybe they bonded over it. It was one of the things they did together. Let's go and look after animals. Let's get a lot of cats and dogs and other things like that and make them part of our family. The article then says, together we took every opportunity to acquire new pets. To take every opportunity just means you take every chance to do something. Like, oh, we could get a new cat, we could get a new dog or a bird or whatever. Yes, let's do it. Take this opportunity. They wouldn't go, oh, we've got enough pets already. We'll get another one next year. They go, oh, a new pet, let's get it. They acquired them. To acquire means to get in some way. It could mean to buy a pet from a pet shop. It could mean they maybe take an animal in off the street that they find. Right. Maybe a friend has puppies or kittens with their pet and they go, oh yeah, well, we'd love to take a kitten and let it join our family. It doesn't just mean buy. We'd say you could acquire your degree, for example.
That's correct.
And you do that by studying rather than paying for it. Another similar word we could use is obtain, O-B-T-A-I-N, obtain, to get something in some way.
So I acquired my cat, I acquired my degree.
Yeah, both work.
Awesome. All right, next, back to the article, it states, we had birds, goldfish, a dog, rabbits, a small monkey, and a cat.
Okay, so they have a zoo. All right.
They really do. And we see the word goldfish, which is a noun. It's a kind of fish that's small and golden. Sometimes they are kept as pets. For example, when I was a kid, I kept 2 goldfish.
Yeah, I had some goldfish for a while. I think it's a pretty common early pet. Like, it's not so hard to keep as a cat or a dog, right? So kids can sort of take care of it, feed it, clean it, that kind of thing. It's the sort of thing you might go and win in the night market, right? You
That's correct,
win goldfish, fish them out, take them home, that sort of thing. So even though this story actually started with a warning, like the storyteller, I've done something bad, I'm going to die, this is horrifying, we haven't seen anything really bad yet, right?
Not too bad, no. He seems like a nice guy so far.
Exactly. He's married, so he loves his wife, they have a bond over animals, they have all these pets that they take care of. What is going to go wrong? Well, you will have to join us tomorrow to find out exactly what does change, what is the bad thing that happens, and why does this lead to the person, like saying, I'm going to die tomorrow. Where does it all go bad? But that's for tomorrow. Right now, we're going to go to today's For You Chat question.
For You Chat.
So today's chat question is, do you like animals? Talk about your favorites and any pets you may have.
I have an animal. I have a fat cat.
Big fat cat.
A big fat cat.
Okay.
It meows all the time. It never stops meowing until I give it food. But I love it.
Boy or girl?
It's a boy.
What's his name?
You're gonna like this.
Okay.
His name is Rambo.
Rambo. Okay. This is kind of a muscular. I suppose he's got muscles under the fat somewhere.
Maybe somewhere, but he's technically a scaredy cat, which really doesn't fit the name.
Okay. Is that, did you have cats and pets when you were growing up?
I didn't have too many because I was allergic until I was about 14.
Okay.
So I sneezed all the times around cats and dogs, and then after 14,
kind of calmed down.
Kind of calmed down.
Great.
What about you?
Well, we always had cats in my house growing up. There's been about 5, 6 different cats, sort of some when I was a kid, some a teenager, the ones my parents have now. I had a couple of goldfish that I looked after. We did have hamsters at one point, those little kind of fat-cheeked mouse-like things that run around in a wheel. My grandma always had dogs, so whenever we'd visit her, we'd play with her dogs. So, yeah, there's usually animals around. Don't have any pets at the moment, although I did notice that the speaker said, I have a small monkey, and having 2 children is basically the same as having 2 small monkeys and 2 very difficult pets. So maybe when they're older and I don't need to take care of them like pets, they can take care of their own pets and we'll get some payback. They can see how it feels. But yeah, not right now. Generally, animal-wise, I would say my favorite animal is a rhino.
Oh, really?
Love rhinos. Think they're amazing creatures. So anytime I go to the zoo, I'm always like,
That's the one you want to see the
absolutely.
most.
I'm going to see the rhinos for a bit. Let's take a look at them. But that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for watching, everybody. Join us tomorrow for part 2 of our story, The Black Cat. See you then. Bye for now.
Vocabulary Review.
Account. Jack gave us an account of everything that happened last night. It sounded pretty crazy. Detail. Here are the basic facts. If you want to know more, the topics are detailed on our website. Burden. I'm worried about this new sales tax. I think it will place a heavy burden on the poor. Desirable. Living in a quieter place would be desirable, but I don't have enough money to move. Opposite. Tony's company is successful now. It was just the opposite 10 years ago, when it started in his garage and had no money. Fond. Michael is very fond of butter cookies and eats them most days, even though he's trying to lose weight.
智慧小补帖
Relieve. Obsessed. Acquire. Goldfish.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net